I am white, and on both sides of my family, we do not have any massive generational wealth. My mom's father is the only one of my four grandparents who we got any sort of generational wealth inherited from. And 99% of the wealth that we inherited from my grandfather was from selling his house. My grandfather was born in 1926 in rural North Carolina, and he was a 6'3" white man with blue eyes. And other than being white, my grandfather didn't have that many privileges. He was one of like 7 children. His mom didn't even get to high school level education, and his dad never went to college. They were not privileged in most other ways that we define privilege, but he was a white male in a very, very racist country. What his whiteness allowed him to do was work his way through college. At the time, there were colleges that weren't accepting black people, and he was accepted to college as long as he could pay for it. And he ended up getting a law degree and becoming very successful. And again, never hoarded any significant wealth, but bought a house outside of Washington, D.C. in the 50s in a neighborhood that was redlined. And actually, my mom, who was born in the 60s, remembers in the 70s when the first black family moved into the neighborhood, because it had literally been sectioned off and realtors would not sell to black families. And my mom, who is 58 years old, went to a year of segregated school. So for all of you saying, it was so long ago, everyone has equal rights now, get over it. My mom remembers when the first black student joined her class in the 70s in Alexandria, Virginia. In 2015, my grandfather died, and we sold his house that he bought for around $100,000 in the 50s, and we sold it for $1 million. That money was divided among his children, and my family was able to get out of a lot of debt, and it completely reset my ability to go to private versus public school, my ability to afford tutors, my ability to become the educated person that I am. And it was all really because I have a white grandfather. Let me finish. Had my grandfather been black and had all of the other skills and background that he had, he couldn't have gone to the schools that he went to. He wouldn't have been hired in the jobs that he was. And he couldn't have bought the house that he did that, 65 years later, put his family out of debt. So if anyone tries to tell you it's not that deep, it really is that deep. It goes so far back. Any small privilege that a white person has is probably, to some degree, due to their whiteness. And if you are a white person who has roots in the South, you definitely should have white guilt, and you definitely should be doing the work to understand how your privilege affects the people around you and how you can help level the playing field. Because you, almost 100%, have an ancestor who owned black people. So yes, I have white guilt. Yes, I'm aware of my status as a white woman, and I'm aware of the parts of my identity that are privileged and the parts that aren't. But saying that you have a certain type of privilege doesn't mean that you have every privilege. It just means that that aspect of your identity is favored by society. So I can talk about being a white woman, and that makes me privileged. But if I talk about being a woman, that is actually a disadvantage in a lot of ways. And everyone tried to get all particular about these specific situations where a black person might have a privilege or a woman might have a privilege over a man. Those are isolated situations you're bringing up. We're talking about large-scale, mass, systematic issues. And it's a lot deeper than just, I felt racism as a white person at one point. Fine, yeah, all of us can experience what feels like discrimination based on race, but that doesn't mean that it's systematically affecting you and stopping you and your families from catching up. That's really what it is. Now, yeah, legally, black people and white people should have the same exact rights and privileges, but they're playing catch up. Because if my family, like I said, had been black, we would never have gotten out of debt in 2015. I would never have been able to afford the school that I went to and live the lifestyle that I'm living right now. And that's because of effects from over 70 years ago. So thanks for listening. And yeah, white guilt's okay.
Hello guys, now welcome back again to this platform. I want us to really dive deep into, and I really found it, educative, and I wanted us to watch it. Especially black folks, I want you to get to look at this. Maybe you may have encountered it in one way or another, but I saw something profound that many people are not ready to accept, and have tried to not focus on and forgetting. So I want us to really dive into the video. She's explaining how it is systemic, and you know what I'm talking about here, racism. So let's dive in. If this is your first time in this platform, please do subscribe, like our videos, share our content. We are going to greatly appreciate. For now, let's jump in.
White people, let's talk about it. Let's talk about our violence, white violence. No more deflecting, no more blaming everything on everybody else. Let's confront ourselves. White people in America, our history is so extremely violent. And instead of confronting that, we continue to blame other people for the issues and the problems in this country, instead of just taking ownership of our part to play in everything, which is a huge part. Can we stop scapegoating other groups of people, please, and just look at ourselves? White people, it's time to talk about it. Like, it's long past time. Getting rid of other groups of people in this country is not going to make this country better. It's not going to make your life better. It's not going to make you better. I think white people are so scared to talk about race and to talk about white violence and white supremacy because they don't want to connect themselves to it. We don't want to feel like we're a part of the problem. But unless you're acknowledging the reality of how the US, this country, runs, you are a part of the problem. I truly believe in my heart, in my soul, that if you're born a white person in this country or on this planet, but I'll just speak about this country, part of that journey is to dismantle systems that have been built to oppress other people. The hard work of life is to confront yourself. How do I benefit from the way that things are? And how does my benefiting from those things harm other people? And instead of walking around with, 1,000-pound bag of shame on your back, consider it your responsibility to do that work. Consider it an opportunity that you are in the best possible position to make this world a better place by not accepting racist and prejudiced and oppressive systems for what they are and trying to contribute to changing them. Use the privilege that you have for good. I don't think that anybody can ever really love themselves without being honest about themselves, without being honest with themselves. And that work is painful and hard, but it's so worth it. White people, you don't have to consciously think that you're better than other people in order to contribute to harm against them. All it takes to contribute to harm is to stay silent and disengaged. White people, can we finally get this shit right? Can we finally take accountability? Can we finally look ourselves in the mirror and decide that this isn't good enough? We're not doing a good enough job. You aren't losing because somebody else is safe and cared for. You aren't losing because somebody different than you exists. White people, let's talk about it. Let's start having these conversations with ourselves and with each other. It's time.
You say that all whites are racist. Can you expound on that, please?
Any white person who was born, raised, and schooled in the United States of America, if you aren't a racist, you're a miracle. Either that or you decided to educate yourself. Because education in this country is about white is right, brown's all right, black's got to stand back. Yellow's mellow, but whites, we educate in a way that says that white males have done all the adventures, have made all the adventures, have done all the discovering, have made everything that is good and has been accomplished according to social studies, which is actually anti-social studies, by white males. It's a lie. But we do that in order to maintain the myth of white superiority.
I'm just going to say it, right? If more white people would stand up against racism, we could probably get it to damn near end, y'all. I'll stand up for it. I know racism isn't right, but I need more white people to jump on this train to help me take a stand against racism. There are white people out here, y'all, that's got people thinking that we are all racist when that is not what's going on. So we have got to put a message out to take a stand against racism. Like, I will start it off. I don't care. I will stand alone in it if I have to. But if you're a white person and you're with me on this, help me push the content out. There's only one way to do this, and it comes with just being in unison. That's the only way. There is power in numbers, y'all. I don't care if you're black, Mexican, Indian, Asian, whatever it is that your race, ethnicity is. You don't have to be white for me to like you. And everybody else that feels this way, I need you to get on this train right now.
I just went to the Gap, and the woman that was checking me out was seemed very like distraught, and I was like, how's your day? You know, like just trying to make conversation. And she was like, would you believe somebody just called me the N-word? Like, that is not okay. I like tried to like continue my day and go shopping, and I cannot continue my day until I like go get this woman flowers or something. I feel sick over it. Now I'm gonna go drop it off. I don't know if it's cringy that I'm doing this. I don't know if it's the wrong thing to do.
There was just an employee here that helped check me out. She just left there. So that must have been the end of her shift.
As a white privileged woman, honestly, it's just something that I don't look around for every day, but it's happening every day. It's happening right under our noses in places that we go every single day. It's not okay. It is not okay. And we all need to do a better job.
PSA, if you're a white person, you're never gonna truly, deeply understand what it feels like to go through racism. That's why people like Dean Withers should not be leading these movements, because they don't get it. When you grow up looking a certain way, being treated a certain way, it's going to be in your bones. You can't not tell me that. So you, as a white person, are not allowed to criticize when people feel hurt because they think that they have gone through a microaggression, because you don't know what it feels like. Sorry. Not sorry.
True. Not one black person alive today was enslaved in America. That is true. Black people are wanting free stuff. Okay, I don't know. I want free stuff, so I guess white people want free stuff too. Reparations isn't about someone who had been enslaved and now is not enslaved. We had a chance to do that, and we blew it back in the 1880s and 90s. So 40 acres and a mule, for some it was more, for some it was less. 40 acres and a mule is what was promised to those working on plantations. That never happened. Then sharecropping. Then all the Jim Crow. All of those things prevented Black Americans from establishing any kind of generational wealth up and until the Civil Rights Act. Now, we can argue for a really long time that the Civil Rights Act didn't clear everything up. It didn't. But at least it was now illegal to discriminate. So I want you to think about, if your family and ancestors had to start at 1964, where you and your family would be today. How would you have paid for college? Would your family have been able to help you with that? Where would you have lived? Reparations is about making up for what wasn't given then, which could have propelled that community into wealth today. We are finally seeing Black Americans with multi-generational wealth starting to emerge, and it's only going to keep on going, and that's great. But what reparations does is it makes up for the fact that you had all these enslaved Americans, and then, okay, you're free, with nothing. Starting from scratch in a system where they weren't even counted as a full human being, where they were limited in what jobs they could have. They didn't have access to Social Security. Now we have Civil Rights Act 1964. Everyone has equal rights. So imagine if that's where your ancestors were starting. That's why reparations are important. And that's why I think we're remiss now for not taking a serious look at reparations and how we're going to do that. I know people get all hung up on, how do you prove that your ancestors were enslaved? Okay, how about we give low interest mortgages, interest-free mortgages, free college, and maybe that's the free stuff you're talking about, but that will only better our community. So what's the problem? I don't get what the problem is. So educate me.
Hello guys, now I'm really hoping that you've had good time while watching it, and you've had, an educative moment while watching the video. And this is one of the things that most people are not, keen looking at, and that's racism being systemic. Most of the time, the enemy tries to teach you the other way, and you forget. So once you forget, it's when he brings it in little by little, little by little. By the time you notice, it's already in it. And I've heard a lot of videos, people talking about racism and saying it's not happening. And I really know that it's only because some people have not encountered it, and that's why they really feel that it's not happening. Most of the time, before death hits your family member, you don't feel like it's real stuff, and at some point we tend to forget that it's there, and anytime it can happen to us, and we focus ourselves, and we shift our focus to the issues of day-to-day activities, and they help us to forget that death is there. It doesn't mean that because it has not happened to me, it is not going to happen. It is not happening. Yeah. And the same with some life experiences. Because it has not happened to us, we tend, I think our brains are created in a way, or I would say it's by default, that we get to forget. They do say out of sight, out of mind. And just because it is not there, it is not present there before us, or it is not any closer to us, we tend to forget, and our brain tend to look at it like it is not there, or it is not real, or it's a myth. But the moment it really happens, it's when you get to realize. This is also to do with racism. It is always there in such a way, and it is covered in such a way that you cannot see it. Lots of Africans who are from Africa go to the US, go to let's say Europe. Before they will really feel like these people do like talking about racism a lot. These people do like having the so-called victim mentality. It's not a victim mentality here, it's a real issue that is affecting Black community. The way the system is designed, it is designed in such a way that it affects them, either directly or indirectly. And that's why I say it also has offices where they get to preside over racism. And not me when I say this. it is created in a way that only when you get access to how that system is run, that's when you get to realize, man, it's real. Outside here, you're being told we love black people. Outside here, you're being told we don't have discrimination against any group, but there is prejudice, and that prejudice has led to them forming systems that are invisible but present, that alter the way, black progress goes, and made you feel like you have victim mentality, made you feel like maybe you are the problem, yet black people are not the problem. And they bring in the issue of meritocracy. So people feel like it's because they've been lazy, that's why they are not succeeding. But on this other end, if you look at things very well, you see black people really working hard. Black people are really, pushing themselves. Black people are here and there, jumping from job to job, day after day, working and trying to make ends meet. But they still tell you meritocracy is the deal of the game, is the game of the day. And one day you'll get to that point of success. Man, it's a lie. But you'll find some people talk about this and say that it is not there. What is there is a victim mentality. What is there is these black people wanting sympathy. I don't know what you think about this. Or maybe do you think the black people really have it? Do you think that people get success based on, especially black people, they'll eventually get their success if they continue pushing on and working hard? They've been working hard for so long. Of course, there's some few chances where black people get to be billionaires, not billionaires, millionaires, and get rich. But if you look at the system, it doesn't support them getting to that level. If you look at the banking, not banking, lending issues that we have in the society, in the banking systems, you cannot be convinced that both white and black people have same equal chances of getting to that top. Now I don't know what you think. May you share your thoughts. Tell me, do you think really black people have the same equal chances as white people to develop themselves, to get to that higher level, to get to that point where few people get? Now I'll be here waiting for your comments, and also wanting to get to know it from your side. Do share your thoughts, do share your comments. These are my few remarks concerning this. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for coming to learn together with us, or from these videos that I keep on sharing here. And I'm really hoping to see you in my next video. Please don't leave without subscribing, like our videos, share our content. We are going to greatly appreciate. For now, I bring it to a close. Goodbye.